everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Overcrank. Hanging out with my buddy Colden, and we got stuff to talk about. And of course, it's DJI again. How you doing today, Colden?
Great. How are you, man?
I'm doing well.
We get to dig into DJI. It's been a whole 7 hours.
I know, but this is just never stops changing. In fact, before we get into that, it was interesting because one of my favorite YouTubers, Tamara Gabriel, she just posted.
Oh, you've never mentioned her before.
Oh, I haven't? Oh, you're...
That's a callback to any episode of my show or your show that we've listened to. Is that's as common a reference as DJI or GoPro.
Well, I think it's going to be fewer now because I don't know if everybody saw her latest video, but she's like, I'm bored of doing camera videos. I want to get back into lifestyle space. But as part of it, she said this year of camera releases was so weird. I just can't take it. And I was like, yes, it has been weird, but
we all feel the same way.
We all feel the same way. I think the difference is I'm not a lifestyle guy. I'm a video producer, and camera stuff is fun. But DJI has been back in the news today. And Colin, I don't know how caught up you are, but so there's two things that are happening. One, the FCC has opened the doors for public comment to see how this change is going to affect us. Question to you is this real? Are they real? Do they really care what we're going to say? Or does this just look like, okay, we're going to listen to you, but we're doing it anyway? Because my question is spyware is spyware. Right. If you're telling me it's spyware, what does it matter if it affects me personally, little creator guy, if you're trying to protect us from spyware? Right. Go.
Yeah, exactly. So you're going to have to clarify this for me because I didn't see anything on it today. But the FCC moved. So what I think you're referencing, and cut me off and tell me. It's
actually on Instagram.
Wrong. They're moving for a retroactive additional ban. Is that what you're talking about? Because they've moved for a public comment for additional banning of the DJI Mini 5 and some other drones that include LiDAR.
Yes.
Which will be an additional ban.
I want to get to that, but this is DJI continuing the fight. It says, and it says, it talks about what's at stake for it. And so they're asking for the public to go to this website, which I don't know which one it is, to say how is this affecting me? Because do I use this for finding missing people, helping firefighters, protect crops? They want everybody to weigh in because the FCC is listening to public comment right now. Yeah. But what will that matter?
Extra was in the same, or is in the same timeline, because Extra right now is in the FCC's in the open filing for public comment as well for Extra. So they're in the same timeline that DJI finds themselves in, which is interesting. Was this on DJI Global?
Yes.
Okay. Because I wanted to see what they were saying, but I've seen that a couple of times. They've pushed for, especially the firefighters and police officers and people.
Well, that's legit. You know, that's a legit issue. All these, especially smaller departments, how much money do you think they have to spend on this stuff?
Right.
You know, and the fact that they can get, I think you can get a $2,000 drone with their really a good LiDAR system on it. You don't have to spend a fortune to get a really good mapping system for seeing in the dark or seeing into buildings, which is critical in an emergency situation. I'm bringing it up right now. DJI. Let's see if I can find something. But
the crazier thing, I don't know if you saw this story, just in terms of
wait,
you want to get into this? Pull this one up first.
But this is just, here's the funny part, because today is August 17th. The Federal Communications Commission is accepting public comments until September 2nd on a proposed rule that could retroactively ban the import and sale of certain previously approved. Oh, you're right. It is about the previously approved. That's what
I was, because the banned ones are banned, and I've seen them pushing for public consensus, public outcry for it, because if they can get enough people irritated, maybe the FCC has to answer for it. But what's been in the news for the last week has not been the banned one. It's been the now basically every DJI drone is going to be taken off the market, because the FCC's moved that any foreign made drone with LiDAR is considered military grade. They're deeming LiDAR to be military grade. And that will, I think most of DJI's drones use LiDAR for object detection.
The newest ones.
So,
yeah.
And that'll is supposed to be taking effect, I think late February, early March is when this new retroactive ban is going to happen. So that's what I was asking, if this was in ties to that, because you have a couple of weeks to voice your public concern. But I don't know. Realistically, they've already kind of moved to decide that this is military grade. And if you've decided that, then it's, what does it matter?
Right. And that it to me, I mean, I'm no expert on military spyware. It cracks me up because the Neo 2 is like a toy. You know, it it runs on batteries. It's teeny. You know, it's like, what are we doing here? This is not. I love, again, that's, I guess, part of it, because now you're hitting me. I am not a drone pilot. I don't have my license, but I love to play, and I love the Neo 2. You know, that I can play around with that. It's half the weight of the weight guideline for that you have to register. I think it's 150 grams, something like that. It's silly. Yeah. And it gets a really surprisingly good picture if you use ND filters. It really, for my uses just to play, I'm like, oh, this is cool. You know, and it's very simple to operate. I guess this means I better hurry up and buy the goggles. That's probably the first thing on my list if I want to keep, because I love the Neo. It's like, it's a really fun little drone.
It will be interesting. So we teased this on our show a little bit too, and it's just kind of a thought, you know, a shower thought in my head is like, obviously they're going to make it more and more difficult for foreign drones to be sold in the United States. But this LiDAR thing, you know, it almost makes me feel like the car industry argument between FSD on the Tesla model versus FSD on the Waymo model, which is, you know, Tesla's model is all visual camera based and computing visual, what the cameras are inputting, versus Waymo, you see all those things spinning and going around, and that's all LiDAR, and what model works better. So I had like all these questions in my head, and I haven't done enough research, but like, you're allowing all this LiDAR information on Waymos to drive around all the city streets of the United States. That LiDAR's fine, but
everybody's got drones, LiDAR on their phones.
Right. So there are, if you know, more broad questions about where does the danger stop with LiDAR. But it is interesting. Does everything go to like visual obstacle avoidance? Because you can do that. You can compute, you know, obstacle avoidance with cameras instead of LiDAR. And I don't know. I mean, Tesla's proven out FSD without LiDAR, that it's possible, that it's capable. So there are options if this is the next thing. Yeah. But is that where we go from here? Do we see more drones utilizing optical object avoidance instead of going this LiDAR route?
And I guess that's my question. That's questions for the real science nerds too in the room. And that is, I feel like the tech of LiDAR would run cheaper and more rapidly than the tech of optical, because I feel like a lot of processing has to occur on the optical side to decide what things are and what it's seeing, and then make a decision. So I'm just picturing these like little chips whirring away, whereas LiDAR is actually measuring, you know, and I feel like that's a lighter weight, not literally weight, but you know what I mean? Less processing is occurring for that to operate, making it cheaper, faster, and better, I would think. While one is good and it does it, this just seems like, I'm sure the reason DJI employs it is because they're selling drone. I got that drone for $200.
Right.
I don't think you're going to do that with an optical system. Like, I feel like, I don't know. So talk in the comments and let us know. I feel like optical requires more of a computer to figure out what things are, whereas LiDAR's bouncing. It knows.
Yeah. No, I agree. The interesting thing to me because when I read the FCC filing about LiDAR being military grade, my first thought was, oh, is this how they're going to take out Insta360 and the anti-gravity drone? Because my when I remember that drone coming out, I remember it only had forward sensing optical or forward sensing object avoidance, because the drone only ever flies forward, even though it says it has 360-degree object avoidance. It's really only because the drone flies forward and you can see 360. It's a cool system. I thought maybe this is how they take out Insta360 from this as well. But that anti-gravity drone does have an optical system. So the way they're doing object avoidance is through cameras and processing what the cameras, those little cameras, see, and then, you know, processing object avoidance from that. So this ruling shouldn't, with a big asterisk, because who knows what's next week that we'll be talking about. But this ruling, whether they go forward with it or not, which I'm assuming they probably will, shouldn't take out Insta360 or any of these other optical based systems.
Okay. Interesting. Well, I guess we're going to have to wait and see. I guess that's the other challenging thing is, you may know the answer to this, you may not. How did we get here? How did we approve, everything's good except to here, and then we're like, well, wait, we've changed our mind. What was the trigger moment, or are they just coming after DJI just full bore?
Todd, I'm not going to get myself in trouble. I'll let the comments tell us what changed in the last 2 years that might have something to do with DJI.
Oh, right. Well, I've talked about that frequently, so I guess we know what changed.
Right.
Anyway,
yeah, that's kind of my only thought there.
This video is brought to you by this guy. Yep, you probably didn't notice it, but I do have a merch store. I have a link below in the description on all my videos, but if you haven't seen it, I'd love for you to check it out. The merch store is where I sell a wide variety of items that help support me and this channel. So if you're a fan of my work, or you just want to get some of my artwork for your home, please check out the Printify store that I have in the link below. There you'll find all kinds of really cool t-shirt designs like the one I'm wearing right now, along with a whole line of ones based around working out, getting into the gym, as well as ones for creators. You'll also see samples of my art that can be used as hot wall hangings or as accessories around the house. Of course, we even have a couple shot glasses, because who doesn't love a shot glass? So if you like me, and you like my channel, please check out my store. It really helps a lot. I guess we'll move on to your favorite topic, and that's GoPro.
Yeah.
I just saw lately, or the latest bit of news I saw, I'll bring this one up too, because I'm sure you're going to have thoughts on this, and you've probably already, you might have talked about it with Jake. Oh no, where's my things? I had a page brought up. I got rid of it. I'll find it again. GoPro is looking for a buyer actively.
Yeah. That's slightly old news, but it's continued.
I like it. We're going with it. Continued next week.
It's continued old news that the board's approved it. They're actively shopping for a buyer. What is interesting is they don't have anything yet. I mean, there's nothing that's publicly been shared, but I know a lot of the interesting rumors would be shifting into a military space.
Oh,
I don't know if that's true or not, but some of that technology could be implemented in a more government contract basis. So that was one of the rumors. I'll be interested to see. What Jake and I did cover on last week's episode of The Creative Lens is how badly GoPro's Q2 numbers looked. And I know we don't run a finance podcast. Yeah. This is not a finance podcast. But if you pull up GoPro's Q2 earnings, it was bad. Like camera sales down 34% from year over year. And that's with GoPro's newest, most technologically advanced camera, which is this Mission 1. They sold a lot of them. They were pre-selling them much differently, more aggressively than they have before. And their camera sales are still 34% lower than they were last year. So it's tough to see. For me, it's hard, when we talked about this on last week's show, it's hard to see a company that, in my opinion, started everything that we are talking about right now. They played a hand in or started all of it, and they couldn't execute. They are the most innovative small camera company. I mean, come at me. I'm sure there are other ones, but they are incredibly innovative and
Yep.
horrible executors. They're the ones with the most narrow verticals out of every other company. Somehow GoPro started, they started the action cameras. They started gimbal. Like they were one of the few where they sold their gimbal that attached directly to their GoPro.
Yep.
They lost that vertical. They started drones with the Karma drone. They lost that vertical. They started 360 cameras. They're still doing, they've got the GoPro Max 2, but most people would argue outside of maybe the color science of that Max 2, it's not a competitive product compared to what DJI and Insta360 are doing. So they lost that vertical. They had so many options to execute and start and cultivate and build these verticals, especially in the United States. They've lost almost every one. That's hard to see because they really did innovate all of those spaces.
Yeah. It's hard to see, and it's sad to see too, just because, like you said, they were the one that started it. It's hard to, I guess, the challenge that they always face, and I think we're rehashing some old stuff, but it's hard to beat the Chinese at quickly ramping up production. So once they figure out a product, they will get it to market way faster than the traditional sort of American marketplace. It's a very slow process by comparison. Did I share this story with you before? It was funny. A friend of mine is a prime example of this. Had a buddy who wanted to start a sneaker company, and he went to China to find a manufacturer, and he brought his prototype, and the people at the company were like, "Oh, this is very nice. Yeah, okay. Hey, we're going to hand this over to our guy. Let's go. We'll take you out to lunch." Took him out to lunch. They came back from lunch, and they had fully made that shoe by the time he came back, exactly the same. And they said, "Well, how will this be for your production?" And he suddenly was like, "Uh-oh, I'm in a country where there's no copyright laws, and they have now just made my shoe, and I have no recourse." They did it over lunch. Like it's a fascinating country in the way they're able to automate and manufacture. And GoPro was behind the ball as soon as DJI decided they were going to walk into this space. And I think that is the problem, because it's hard to get ahead of it once somebody who's that aggressive is on the game. It's like, how will you ever keep up? Because, I can just picture poor guys at GoPro. They've got a board of directors. We would like to do this. And then I sat in those kinds of meetings, and everybody with some money goes, "Well, I have an idea." And they don't. They're not innovators. They don't work in the space. But it slows the whole process down, as opposed to where there's not a board of directors and there's just a guy who says, "We're going to do this," and we're going. So I don't know where I was going with that, but I just feel like GoPro was in trouble as soon as somebody else was like, "We're going to compete."
Yeah, I feel that way, but I don't, because there's always going to be, GoPro knowingly walked into a very competitive market space.
Yeah, but it didn't exist.
Cameras.
Well, okay.
It didn't exist. You're right. But that's where
Yeah.
I'm saying they can innovate. They can't execute, because
Yeah.
iPhone is an American, Apple's an American company.
Yeah.
They manufacture all over the world, and they don't have as many execution foibles. They have plenty, but they don't have the same execution mishaps that GoPro has. I think GoPro chased too many funnels and couldn't actually get the right people, because and I agree with you, where you can take something overseas and manufacture it very quickly and you'll get knocked off. There is I'm the first one in line. There is a name recognition and a brand loyalty. We will pay more for a GoPro device, because it's not the 80% of manufacturing the chips and the lenses and the plastic and the power button and the batteries. Like, you're right. Everybody on Amazon can knock that off. It's that last 15% that has made the GoPro Hero cameras that much better than the XYZ, the Act 2 Spark action camera 4K.
Yes.
There are 1,000 of those that got knocked off.
Yes.
Where DJI came in was taking that vertical that GoPro started and actually completing it with an execution path that made them more reputable than the reputable brand that started it, which is that I will still say, as someone far less successful than Nick Woodman and the GoPro company, I can sit here on my low podium and shout up and say that was their fault. I mean, they could have done better on those because they owned those verticals. And if price being 20% more on the GoPro side than maybe a DJI competitor, or certainly one of the generic Amazon ripoffs, like you said, kind of the Chinese knockoffs.
Yeah.
I'd buy the GoPro every time. I've bought the GoPro for most of the cameras that I need a small camera on because that last 10% is so good. But where's the gimbal? Where's the 360 camera? Where's the drone? All these other verticals that could have made them successful, it doesn't exist.
Yeah, and you make a valid point on that. I will say, back to your one point, in recent years, Apple has had a few more than one GoPro moment. They have, I want to say, going back, they've been caught flat-footed on their cameras a few times because their camera tech evolves quite slowly. Where some of these other companies have come out and were like, oh, we've got a 50 megapixel camera now, and we've got one that has 20 times zoom. And GoPro's been caught off guard, and you look at those and they're like, that's a pretty good camera system. And then their launch of their AI has been fraught with problems. It was supposed to be a fully AI integrated Siri, I think, with the 16, and that never happened. 17 came, it still hasn't happened, and now they're talking about, well, it's coming, and I'll go back to Steve Jobs isn't with us. If Steve Jobs was at the helm, I feel like less of these would have happened because he was such a beast at perfection. And they either would not have announced it prematurely or it would have worked. It would have, this half-baked stuff, people heads would have rolled under Steve Jobs, I think. But we're in a different, now we have more of this sort of bureaucratic approach, and they're all good guys. They make great products, but that's where things start to run into these bumps in the road that I feel like GoPro might have had to deal with. I don't know. This is my speculation. I clearly have never worked at GoPro.
Me neither. So we are both at equal qualifications to debate this topic. So we here's another. I like this. This is a segue we can kind of talk about because Jake and I talked about this on the Creative Lens. Was this new? We moved from the Steve Jobs era of Apple, which was all about innovating new products, creating spaces that had never been created before. And then Tim Cook, where I think what you just kind of said is my belief that a solid company that can execute that last 15%, it really doesn't matter what else gets knocked off. If that top 15%, that possibly undefinable characteristic of why is there an iPhone in 8 out of 10 people's pockets?
Yep.
That's the execution. So what Tim Cook did really well, he was not Steve Jobs, and he knew he wasn't Steve Jobs. He wasn't trying to be Steve Jobs, but he developed this iteration model where they did still come out with a lot of new, people don't, I don't know, do people give Tim Cook enough credit for he was the AirPods, he was the iPad. There were some significant steps forward under Tim Cook, but the huge thing that he did was he took the market share 26 times what it was when Steve Jobs passed away.
Yeah.
And so, but that is, you can develop these little verticals and you can iterate on all of those, and you are forgivable for your missteps because everything else falls in an execution line where, you know what you're getting when you buy the product. They're not drones falling out of the sky. There
Right.
is that Apple name that means something. And so that's where I think the difference is. And huge shout out, because Tim was able to bring Apple into a more production line that Steve couldn't do. And then the next thing will be interesting, because I think what we talked about on the show is John Turnus is kind of named to be the new CEO of Apple. He's more from the development side of Apple. He's more from the product Devo side. It'll be interesting to see if we end up in more of a Steve Jobs era over the next 10, 15, 20 years. Do we still see 26, 27x jumps in market cap, or are we in the brand new thing that we haven't seen yet? I'll be interested. The Vision Pro was another one that was an interesting launch that hasn't been adopted yet. I will be interested to see, because you brought up Apple's AI developments. Yeah. And I think, this is again, one guy's prediction on the internet, I think they're going to end up winning, where you look at the amount of AI spend that is happening right now between all of the, Mag 7, they're by far the least amount of AI spend. And if they're behind right now, doesn't mean that their product's not, they were behind before the iPhone too.
I agree. Yeah. I will say a couple things. You are 100% right, because on the Apple, that 10% actually isn't even the phone. It's the ecosystem.
Exactly.
That's the thing. I'm sitting here with my AirPods, with my iPhone, on my MacBook Pro, where I go home and I've got my Apple TV and my iPad, everything Apple, because it works so well together. And that's the thing that DJI did so well. Their products all work together so well. The color science matched across the different systems, and the systems work together. And that's GoPro, what you said. They failed on those verticals, so we failed on a system. GoPro was reliant on a camera sale every year, whereas, maybe if let's just say the 4P hadn't come out, I probably wouldn't buy the Pocket 4, but I might buy the Pocket 5. But in the interim, I might get the Action 7, and I might get a drone. And so there's other things that I'm buying. So I'm always buying something from DJI each year. And that's the difference, as you point out, with the verticals. The other interesting thing I have read, and I don't know if it's true, about Apple's AI, and I don't know if you've read this. This is what I find most interesting. There is a very good chance that they will destroy the AI bubble, actually, because I have heard that their end game is that each phone will be its own independent ChatGPT that is your ChatGPT, and it's not reliant on a cloud service. I mean, like subscribing to Claude or whatever. This is my personal AI system. And if it's as strong as those and as powerful as those, and it's just part of my phone plan, why would I subscribe to anything else? And this doesn't require a server farm. It's just this. I've heard that's their game. And if that's the game they're going for, they will probably put us all into a complete free fall financially, because the whole stock market is based on the puffed up numbers of the AI industry as it sits today, which still doesn't make any money. Right. So you're correct. And I'm not dumping on Apple's slowness of it. They shouldn't have announced it, I guess. It's sort of like when they announced the Pocket 4P at Con. Why'd you do that?
Right.
That's like, Don't tell us there's AI. Just keep building it. I think they felt like they had to, because people would think they weren't keeping up. Yeah. But at the same time, theirs wasn't doing what they promised it would do. It still isn't doing what they said it would do. But I do think their long game, I'm 100% in your court, is powerful and could be very dangerous for anybody who invests in Claude or ChatGPT, because if they do what their plan is, that's going to be a huge shift in the industry.
Yeah. Well, now we're really walking ourselves out of either of our lanes of expertise with the AI world. It was funny. I posted something on TikTok that was kind of Jake and Mai's reaction back and forth to AI, because it is certainly polarizing whichever side you're on of this debate. Yeah. But one of the funniest comments was frustrated at my thoughts on it, said, oh, you don't know anything about AI. And if you did, you wouldn't be talking this way. And I'm just going, I think I know more than like the lame person on the street would, because I'm constantly in, we're having these conversations. I'm invested in it. I'm a user of Claude and ChatGPT and Gemini, and just to see how things are progressing.
Yeah.
So I think I know slightly more, but I'm correct. Got me. I'm not a developer at ChatGPT, so I don't know.
Right.
I don't know that level of things, but I do know how things work for me and my business, what I've seen progress versus not progress. And, I don't know if you remember, was it last summer? It like dropped the stock market like 8%. The DeepSeek moment where China released this model of DeepSeek that could fit on your phone. And it was 80% as useful as any of the other LLM models. And it was contained to, like, you could fit it on your computer, you could fit it on your phone, and it was open source. And so that's an interesting, like, selfishly, my hope is that this hardware bubble that we've seen ourselves in, the build outs, the data centers are just insane things. Like, we can't go buy SD cards because they've been pre-bought. All solid state memory has been pre-bought for until 2028 because of these things. That seems insane to me, that you are taking a bet of a depreciating asset that depreciates quickly. I mean, we've all been proven that your MacBook M5 processor will be 9 times slower than the M7 processor in 2 years. So that level of depreciation. And SanDisk has gone up 2,000%. We can't buy SanDisk SSDs because the hardware has all been pre-bought. It just, like you said, when all of that, what we have found AI to be useful for, which to me, the only thing I find AI useful for is a slightly hallucinogenic Google search. Like, it does the same for me. I can type into ChatGPT, find these facts for me really quick, and 80% of the time it can be right. And then it can hallucinate another 20% that I have to go back and fact check it. But that level of LLM knowledge, I would think, could be downscaled significantly in the next couple of years. And then, like you said, like, where does it go for everybody else? When Apple can release that thing on your phone and it lives on device, you're not sending stuff up to who knows where, you're not training somebody else. What most people are using it for on a regular basis just becomes on device. Yeah. What happens to everything else? Can I freaking get a 2 terabyte hard drive for less than $1,000, please? Like, I'm here for Apple crashing that for the rest of us.
Oh, I am too. Especially, there are two things. I am so anti the logic that a data center comes to my town, they are using a gigaton of electricity, and my bill goes up. No. You pay for your use. I pay for my use. That, I do not get why that's happening.
Yeah.
And we don't need more giant gray buildings on the planet. It's just enough. Around where I live, there's these, they're not data centers. It's just these, they're the slab concrete warehouses. They're just everywhere. And it's like, I am so sick of seeing these boring buildings. Like, I actually want to go around, like, can I find artists for you and we'll just do giant murals on these buildings, at least to make it attractive in the space, because it's destroying the landscape. We're losing all the here I'm a total hippie. But the phone model, I can already pick. Can you imagine, like, all the stuff we're talking about, and Tim Cook and his little, at the meeting, where he's talking and walking across the stage, Apple has come and we have given back your electricity for free. And we have lowered hardware costs because we have developed AI. And it's just like, they will take over the world if they do that, because people will be like, oh my gosh, we've all been crying for this.
Yeah.
The outcry in Nashville over them putting a data center next to the zoo, people were like, what are you doing? It's enough. It's enough.
My big push while we're on it, and this is just, I wish we could get, and this is my, maybe my boomer view of, like, back in the day, but I wish we
I have that a lot now.
No, I'm more and more.
Yeah.
But I do think, I pushed this on a Creative Lens episode, but I'll give it to you too. Whoever's in charge of the artificial intelligence, the AI marketing, right? Like we'll just pretend that's one person's job,
Yeah.
needs to do a better job, because it drives me nuts that we call like the same thing as what is basically now these LLM Google searches as generative photo, as whatever is going to go cure cancer. Like it's so many different levels of compute that to simplify everything as to AI just is, I'm so over it. Because the problem is, I don't think I'm alone, that I'm just so sick of AI, just that like those two vowels pushed next to each other and spewed over and over and over and over and over again. Like, give me what it actually is. Remember, like 5-10 years ago, before AI was the buzzword, it was neural networking. And I almost missed that, because it made slightly more sense to what it actually is, of networking data together and making connections and inferences. And it made more sense than just calling things two vowels that most people don't. And I will happily lump myself in with the most people that don't understand most of what's going on. Stop calling it all the same thing. And like, that's just, it'll never happen. It's a very good, I guess, good or bad marketing scheme. But the idea that generative, like Kling video that can generate whatever video you want, a talking video, whatever you want on Kling, is not the same as you Google searching what, Thai place you could eat at, and you get an AI response at the top. Like they're very different things. That's just
They are. I will say I have gotten warmer on AI utilization as a tool set.
Oh no, buddy. You're going to get Maddie canceled here.
Come at me. But I create all of my stuff myself. I don't want to give the wrong impression. However, working for myself and being a solo creator, the assistance and ideation to give me like a jump off point where I'm like, oh yeah, I could do that and I can go. Or I'm working on a lot of different projects at once, and one of them is my artist reality series. I know what I want it to be. I wrote a half-baked mission statement, right? And I said, these are the things it should do. I sat and planned that out, sat for an hour or two and kind of worked that out. But I was like, but it sounds like garbage here. Hey, chat, can you take my words and put this together in a way that makes sense? Boom. And I'm like, yes, it's still this was my idea. These were my messaging, but it's in a way that now when I present it to somebody, they go, oh yeah, I see what you're doing, and I love that for me, because one thing is my dad was a former English teacher. I did not inherit that gene. Me and grammar, not friends. You could probably tell by the way I would talk on this show. But I have ideas. So there are places where you're like, yeah, that's a very powerful and helpful tool set. Do I want it?
But the difference of if I could just jump in here, and this is where I get frustrated on the marketing of it. The difference of using a smart spell checker, which is what you're doing. It has existed for years as the little floating staple or
Clippy.
Clippy. Paperclip. That's what I was looking for. That floated around all of our Microsoft Words, right? Like, that has existed for years, and this is a great iteration on it. But to call that the same thing and the same tool as Suno, which is actively stealing musicians' work, allowing you to type in, create me a hip hop song that sounds just like blank with the words of blank, and then you feel like you're a musician, then you go put it on Spotify and claim that you're a musician. Those are two wildly different machines. One I'm fine with. If you need a spell checker, cool. Yeah. This is a better spell checker. Yes. Suno, I'm sorry, you're not a musician if you typed in a 2-sentence prompt and then just went publish on Spotify. That's not music.
It's fascinating too, because I looked at Suno and it's wild, because for $8 a month, you get full rights to that music to sell. I was like,
I think they backed that down. I don't know enough, so maybe anybody who knows in the comments,
I thought that's what it was. Yeah.
because all I've seen on Reddit recently has been that Suno, because they've been sued like crazy, and
I
that
would think
Suno's
so.
basically backing down. They're like adding watermarks, like audio
Oh,
watermarks to songs
okay.
now. I don't know.
Even if
Somebody
you
let us
pay?
know in the comments.
Interesting.
Just to avoid
Okay.
the lawsuits. And I don't know it, but it's wild to me that you can pay $8 and steal millions of artists' discographies because I'm sorry, that is theft at that point.
Yeah.
That you are allowing your models to train without consent and without any kind of payment to those artists,
Yeah.
and you just get rights to that, which is nuts. That's crazy to me. And here's another crazy comment that I had read over the weekend was, if you personally haven't had your work stolen, then you have no rights to complain about AI. That's bonkers to me, because
Yeah.
I can
It's
point
coming.
to, well, maybe, sure, but I can point to 1,000 generations of photographers that I know that can point to that. So I can't say
Yeah.
I don't like AI because I can exactly see the copied generation here, or I can listen to a famous Frank Sinatra song and hear Suno copy it almost note for note, and I can't point that out because they haven't come and stolen my song. I think,
Yeah, right.
to me, I was like, that doesn't make sense at all. That's your argument to allow AI theft to exist, is just because if you don't have your stuff stolen, then you don't get to talk. I don't get that.
Yeah. No, that's a really good point you brought up. I actually got to interview a two-time Grammy winner, Molly Tuttle, at the radio station. And when I interview these artists, I always ask them that question specifically. What do you think about what's going on in AI, and how does that affect you? Because this, I would feel like, is a scary time for you as an artist. She said specifically that the fact that they're getting nothing, like Spotify's bad enough, but the fact that they're getting nothing from their music being pulled from, harvested, and retooled to sold to other people is criminal. Like they don't know how to. There's no recourse. How do you even fight that? Spotify, right. I would argue, and all these streamers have kind of ruined music for the musicians. The only way they can make money is they got to work harder than anybody now, just being on the road. Another friend of mine, I don't know if we talk so much, I don't know. Another friend of mine was a touring musician, and she toured with this fairly large band. I can't remember. And they were at like a 5,000 seat arena, and she said they were back at the arena up, and they were counting how many seats were empty and deciding whether or not they were even going to make money that night, because all of the rest of the money was going to go to Live Nation and the venue and and the label. And was there enough seats for them to even make money for dinner? And you go like, and now if you're not making any money on your record sales, because Spotify gives you, I don't know, worse than we get paid on YouTube. It's pennies. But that, at least they had been dealing with. And now with AI coming in, it's like, oh, what is the next thing? I fear for the time when there won't be any artists, because it won't be a viable way to, have a home and eat food. Like you're either homeless or an artist, or you go get a regular job.
I'm cautiously optimistic that never exists, because the human experience, I feel like, there will be plenty that in every generation of of humanity that have been fine sitting on the couch. But there are also plenty of people, Jake and I talked about this, the act of going to the movies has made more money this year than any year in history. Like the box office numbers this year have been higher than any year in history, which just shows that, Ted Sarandos of Netflix a year ago said people, like, the idea of going to movies is dead. People just want to watch movies on their couch. That's why Netflix is so popular. He's flat out wrong, right?
Yeah.
Like, and I like Netflix as a model. I like going to the movies as a model. I think that idea of going and experiencing something together, it won't go away. It may become more vinyl, more of an experience. But I do think, to me, as a musician, that idea of going and playing live, of touring, of sharing your music, that's something that you can own, like only you can own, unless you're willing to be the Chuck E. Cheese animatronic band that just ships out your robots to do it. But you can still be that performer. That's where I do still feel like there's some hope in the artistic industry, is that you just have to find your niches of where you share to your audience of people. And I just have a problem with Suno, because you listen to the CEO talk and he just has a great disdain for musicians and for the artistic process. That's just, as an artist, as somebody who enjoys making things, somebody who says that their tool, their algorithm can help because most people don't enjoy the process of making music. I don't
know where he comes up with that. These musicians that I know, that's their life. They love getting into the studio and making the new thing. A buddy of mine, in 2 weeks, he's heading down to Nashville and he's cutting his next album, and he's got so many big names on this label. And I'm like, this is awesome, dude. Like, you're really putting something together. And he can't wait. I'm going to send him down with a camera. I'm like, take this camera with you. When you get back, we'll do like a mini doc. Like, you do all sorts of behind the scenes stuff for yourself and bring me that footage. So I love that process. And that's the thing. That's partly why I do my series, The Artist Reality, is I kind of want to tell the stories of the artists, because I think if people meet the artists, they'll have a greater appreciation for the art, for the output. And it's for all formats. But I think that I think teaching people about how much sacrifice, how much work goes into giving you that nice night out with your friends that you're like, well, that was fun. Everything they put into that for that 1 hour for you, I think I like to try to balance that with those conversations. So yeah, I'm with you. I hope that these young kids will appreciate the arts when they get old.
I think everybody will. And I think another quote that gives me hope is, like, Christopher Nolan was on a talk show a couple of weeks ago and said, like, his kids have a deep disdain for AI and AI generated things. And I think it's there and it exists, but I think it's, it will be a form of artistic expression or a channel that you can go click on. And there will always be the analog vinyl people that enjoy that process of the thing. And if it's made easier, one thing that I have kind of argued, and I still think it's counterproductive to what you want to do, but I did notice in terms of like video generating, it's an interesting exercise if you're learning to be a director, to go generate, because you can do it for free, basically, a storyline, and then learn how to cut the different AI generated videos together to create a seamless story. So I thought as an exercise, a film school exercise where you didn't have to go out and shoot, it's an interesting way of kind of learning how to piece these things together. That was like one hopeful, optimistic thought of this stuff. But I struggle with that idea, because at least in 2026, currently right now, the act of making a film involves your interaction, even as a director, especially your interaction with hundreds of other people to make a community piece of art happen. It is an installation piece that is told in 24 frames per second film, but it's still utilizing an entire creative team to make something happen. And if you just do it on the computer, and if you just do it through generated prompts, the muscle that you really have to get good at, which we talked about on whatever our last episode was, which is the idea of working with other creative people, you actually have never flexed that muscle, practiced, exercised that thing, that skill inside of you. You've just generated prompts. So where it may help an editor learn how to put things together and tell a story through, we'll call it more advanced storyboarding, basically, or these like AI generated video clips, I think that's the easiest part. It's like buying the camera. Buying the camera is the easiest part of being a director, a cinematographer, a filmmaker. That's the easy part. Everybody can do that. It's all the other pieces that go into it that are significantly more difficult, that AI can't teach you.
Yes, no, for sure. I had to chuckle too when you said that you were going back. I'm going back to your vinyl comment too. over the last few years, I've bought several vinyls, and I don't even have a record player because I meet these artists and I'm like, oh, this is awesome. And I don't know who you are. And I think you might be something someday. I'll buy that. And please sign this for me. And it just sits on my bookshelf because I'm just like, I love that whole tactile thing. I remember the first record I bought when I was a kid was a Genesis album. That tells you how old I am. I'm riding home.
Studio.
Yeah, I bought Three Sides Live, and I'm riding home with that plastic bag, banging against my handlebars with my 10-speed bike, so I could get home and put it on the stereo with the tower speakers and lay in my room. Like, oh man, and
Yes.
I love that whole like thing, and I used to love CDs for that. I hated cassettes; they were a necessary evil at the time because you could get them in your car. But when CDs came and you had those like booklets that folded out, there was all sorts of information and pictures, and I miss that, and that experience of something tangible and real is everything you're talking about. That we're hoping that people will still hold on to that, and I think we're seeing some of that with like even I thought it was interesting, and you have that one camera that Insta put out. This one camera that was more like an Instax, one of those like old film cameras.
Yeah, like a Polaroid.
Like a Polaroid, but this one you can't even, there's no viewfinder, like a screen. You had to look down through a little thing to look out, and you don't know what the pictures are actually going to look like till you get back and look at them on your computer. And I was like, that's kind of cool. It's sort of what we used to do, whether that's garbage or not, you won't know till it was developed, which was the scary part about film. You really learned how to shoot photography when you were shooting on film because you couldn't just shoot 500 pictures and delete. You're like, right? This 32 this roll is going to cost a fortune to develop.
Yeah, I was saying it costs you twice because you have to pay for the film that you're shooting, then you have to pay for the development of the film that you're shooting. So you have to hope that it turned out. Did you hear about this quote from Guillermo del Toro about owning physical copies? I figure it fits right in. He said, so if you own a great 4K Blu-ray or DVD of a film or films that you love, you are the custodian of those films for generations to come. And I thought that is, he's one of the more outspoken directors against AI and against this streaming model, which I kind of believe in both. But this idea that physical copies are going away that's a little scary to me. Yeah. Talk about buying vinyls and buying physical copies of things that you get to hold on to for a long time. You can rent a Netflix subscription. Essentially, it's just rent, right? Yeah. For years and cancel that subscription, and you own nothing at the end of it. And those videos that get taken off, those films that get taken off of Netflix or Paramount Plus or whatever Disney, whatever you're paying for, if you don't own a physical copy of them, there's a real chance that those go away. So I thought that was a really interesting quote by him. What do you think? What are your thoughts?
Oh, I agree. And I regret choices I made 20 years ago. It's harder and harder to find a DVD player now. I feel like, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. I had a massive DVD collection because back in the day, you remember, like they would pre-release or release them, and on the release day, like Best Buy always had a really good price. So I would always buy on release day if there was something I wanted. We had a massive collection. It's like anytime I want, I know which movie I can go watch any of my movies. And the one thing, you're going to laugh at this. Look, I think Seinfeld might be the most perfect comedy show that was ever created. I love Seinfeld. I've watched the series over I don't know how many times. And I don't have those DVDs anymore. I got rid of everything. I took it all to GameStop or whatever. And I was like thinking to myself, I want to go back and I'm going to go buy those Seinfeld DVDs because Seinfeld's going off of Netflix and I don't know where it's going. They say maybe Peacock. And I'm just like, well, if I can't watch it, I want to watch my show. Like I'm such an old man. Like I like my stories. But I got to find a DVD player or something because I was like, and I agree with him. Like I think my sons salvaged a bunch before I got rid of it all. They were like, well, I'll take them. And there were boxes that they grabbed. But I regret getting rid of thousands of DVDs.
I'm with you. I think the only hard part of that is it becomes more and more difficult to maintain the playing device for those things.
Yeah.
But in sentiment, I think I 100% believe in what Guillermo del Toro is saying.
Yeah.
It's just I need to do better in practice on preserving not only the DVDs. You have to preserve the DVDs, but you have to also preserve the capture device or some way to actually watch them.
Well,
and
yeah.
show them. It's the same idea as record players. You have to have a way to play it, or your vinyl doesn't do a whole lot.
Right. Exactly. And I'm gonna get a new one because teaser. I just got a behind the scenes tour at Audio Technica today. And that video will be coming up soon. And they had a record player that I had never seen before. It's called a Soundburger. Have you heard of this?
No.
And so it literally is like looks like just a bar. And she's like, that's a portable turntable. I'm like, what are you talking about? And she goes, you flip it on the side, you open it up, and the arm is in there, it lowers down, and the record kind of just floats on it, and it's Bluetooth. So then it sends it to a Bluetooth speaker. And I was like, that is so cool because it's going to take up almost no space on my shelf. And then when I want to listen to a record, pop it up, connect it to my JBL, and I can listen to a record. As long as my cats don't decide to get on it and knock the whole thing over. But I was like, what a cool device. It's like 160 or 190 bucks. And I'm like, what a cool idea. Yeah, you probably saw it in my video because I let you preview it. That little yellow thing, that was the Soundburger.
You asked too. You were like, what's this? And she said, yeah, it's a Soundburger. Yeah, go watch that. I don't know if this comes up first, and hold on and come back to Todd's channel and go watch it.
Yeah.
If it's already out, then go watch that now.
Yeah, go watch it now. Yeah. So I kind of want to have one more brief topic with you if you have time. I know we almost got to an hour.
Brief, but we don't know the definition.
I know, we don't do it.
Brief,
I know.
But we will try.
I would like your thoughts. I don't know. Did you get a chance to watch my interview with Sophie? And there's no pressure if you did, because we both put out a lot of content.
I kind of watched parts of it, but you'll have to sum it up for me on this one.
Well, what I found interesting, and Sophie's a guest on our channel. She's another YouTuber, and I talked to her about how she got her brand deal. And it was an interesting conversation. And it was, I think, very basic and very good advice for anybody. Because getting out of the gate, especially, I just got monetized, I want to make brand deals. It's not going to go the way you think it goes. Also, I think, and so a part of the conversation, I boiled it down to this. You have to silo, because we talked about the monetization model and how little money is actually being paid by YouTube, and how you actually have to be an entrepreneur and either have products to sell or work on these brand deals. And I said, because one of the things is you come out of the gate, I think if someone offers you $100, you'd be lucky to do a video for them. And I go, man, for me to make that video, it's a half-day shoot. That's going to be a day and a half of edit. This is a $1,200 package minimum, right? Why would I do that for $100? And I think the answer is that you have to silo them. I'm a video producer over here. I'm a YouTuber here. And the YouTuber rate is going to be way lower for a long time until I can prove I'm a Peter McKinnon. What are your thoughts on taking those kind of low dollar deals to get into that brand deal space?
I don't know. It's tough for me. I think personally, it's hard to say no when you're building a channel and building something that you are trying to see the fruits of your labor. And you're trying to make this more than just a passion project or a hobby. I understand somebody coming to you and saying, hey, we have this thing we want you to do a video of, whatever. That's exciting, and it's proof of concept, basically. Mm-hmm. What my struggle is that you knowingly, like, you have to know that you are the lowest totem pole of the tentacle of marketing. They are using you to get to a certain audience of people to market that thing to hopefully sell more thing. Yep. And that to me is tough, because I'm just as a contrarian, I guess, by nature, I so dislike the constant marketing of all the things. And I've joked with Jake, we cover them. I'm a nerd in that I like to see new things that are coming out and cover them and talk about them, tell you what I like and what I don't like. But I don't spend a lot of money on it because it drives me nuts to see the same 10 talking points by 50 people. I think my fear in siloing or saying yes is that you are trying to build a community of authenticity.
Yes.
And you are trying to build an audience around trust. These are my thoughts. You can hate my thoughts, but these are my thoughts.
Yeah.
And you are trying to cultivate that then saying yes to the product that is worth $100, to me, shoots against that authenticity. And the only caveat to that is that I've experienced is if I would personally go out and spend money on something, if I would personally go out and buy that, regardless of the brand deal or the trade for video or whatever, if I would genuinely be interested in that product, I'm okay doing a video on that product. If I have no interest in it, I don't need your $100 or I don't need your product X to shill for that because there's so much of that. And I think the other hard part for me, just for me is,
well, let me pause you for a second. Let me back to there before you go down that road. I'm only talking about I'm only talking about products that I want to work with. I'm not saying someone reached out to me. I'm saying like one of the companies I would really like to work with is K&F. I like their products.
Sure.
And I've bought a lot of theirs with my own money. So it would be cool to either get them free and do a video or get paid a small amount and do the video. So that I would like to say that I feel like there's an authenticity there, but go ahead with your thought. Yeah.
No, I'll just follow you down that rabbit hole for a moment because I feel like, I can't remember who said it. Maybe it was Mark Bennett. Somebody who was reviewing YouTube gear, YouTube gear on YouTube, and said, I don't ever have a problem doing a sponsored video if it's something that I like that would just make it easier for you to get to this thing or hear about this thing. If I like it, I don't mind doing a video on that.
Yes.
That I don't mind. It's it's not where I'm at. Like I can't pretend that I'm where some of these other creators are that are being offered thousands of dollars to shill for a thing that they either don't believe in, don't use, or don't, want to participate in. To me, the AI thing is very pertinent right now because it's so polarizing. You've got people that really like using it and are trying to sell you courses on how to maximize. I mean, they're selling you courses, but they're trying to, help you maximize, coach you on how to maximize your AI. And there are lots of people that hate it. So I think, take that as a potential. Those are things where I'm definitely not doing that work for $100. Yeah. And I think there are, Gerald Undone posted a tweet about this. He was like, here's what I think about when Higgs field approaches me. He says, unrespond from all. Like his tweet was hilarious and awesome and exactly why I appreciate I listen to his voice as a consumer of the product of YouTube. I appreciate that level of authenticity that I think is missed sometimes as you are getting excited about building your brand up and building these stepping stones up. I think it's easy to want to say yes. It's the same argument I have as a photographer. If you're a wedding videographer, if you're a photographer, whatever, as you're starting, you're going to do work for free and you're going to be taken advantage of by people that don't want to pay you or don't want to pay you much. Yeah. Me having done this for a lot of years hates that those people are willing to give away good work for nothing because it brings the total margin of our business down by doing that. So sure, that's where I'm like, I don't know. I have a hard time siloing that off, kind of like you said. If I like the product and I was going to buy it anyway, like you said, I don't mind sharing that. And if it's less than my day rate, if I was going to buy it anyway, there's some, mental gymnastics I can do in my head to be okay with it. If I don't like it or if I don't agree with the product, then I don't care. I'm not going to do it.
Okay. And I'll say one final point to that. So my argument for it was also, I'm going to make, I think so far, $48 this month on YouTube, my friend.
Right.
I've put in probably 50 hours this month to make that $50. So, I was like, that doubled my month output on YouTube. That's where the silo comes from. Let me ask you this, though. This was the other thing I thought was clever on her part. So it's more like spec work. But what she says is, if there's a product that I want to work for, I will start making videos about that product so that they'll see the kind of videos I will make for them when we make a deal. And so she's kind of proving concept before, and it actually got her a really nice brand deal, a four video brand deal with a luggage company. And I was like, that's pretty clever. She's like, I wanted to work with them. I watched their stuff and I started making videos so that they would see I could make videos like that. But that was all for free. Now, what do you think about that model? And you don't have, there's no hurt feelings. I'm just, I'm kind of like, I feel like this is worth a conversation because I feel like people who are watching us are sort of in the same space you and I are in, either just monetized or trying to get monetized. And this is going to be something we're all trying to figure out. That's why I want to have the conversation.
It's hard because I think most of my relatable commentary comes from the professional space, not the YouTube space.
Yeah.
Doing spec work or spec commercials to prove for a fictional brand, right. I want to shoot a sneaker. I really want to work for Nike. So, then some advice I would have for you, if you really want to go out and work for Nike, is go shoot a spec Nike commercial for, make up a shoe brand. Or shoot a Nike commercial, but you're just shooting that to say, look at the skill that I have in being able to shoot this style of commercial. I think spec work or copycat work, like that kind of idea, is really valuable for building up a portfolio.
Yeah.
What I have seen, though, is that there are, and again, I'm only speaking from kind of my professional experience, for every luggage brand that will take you up, notice you, take you up on that offer, and then be willing to pay you for something you were already doing for free, my brain says there's 10 more luggage companies that will just take your unsolicited advertising, say, thank you very much, repost it on their story, and move on to the next person. That I don't like. That I feel like if you are willing to, again, it's just kind of what audience are you what community are you trying to build? What kind of audience are you trying to cultivate? I get so sick of advertising on social media. And the issue is between paid advertisement on, let's just take a platform on Instagram. You have the silo of the paid advertisement that comes up every 4 clicks, right? Every 4 swipes is a paid ad. Then you also have, out of those 4, 1 to 2 out of the 5 in your feed is somebody being paid to advertise a thing, but it's a real video. So I think to me, it's just hard because if you are building that as your audience where, I bring you products, I review products, that's just the audience that I'm cultivating, then I think it's great. I mean, keep doing what you're doing. I have a hard time because I don't like working for free. I don't suggest. If you're trying to build a new skill that you're not good at, I mean, I gripped for free. I did camera ops for free. Went out and shot projects for free as I was learning. But if you're good at a thing, I don't think giving it away for free is ever. It's very hard to dig yourself out of the hole. For me, like the follow-up question to Sophie is, how do you convince a company, once you were already willing to do that thing for free so many times, that now you are worth a $1,500 one-day deal? It's hard to estimate that value once you've already said, no, I'll work for free. That's where the work for free bit is hard for me.
That's a valid point, and I may have misspoke. I think she may have done videos in the style of, I don't know that she necessarily did their suitcase in the style.
And that's like a spec. If she was doing that totally makes sense, and it aligns with my belief. If you are making if you are making Nike, well, Nike is such a big brand, but say like suitcase, what can we use? Like camera grip.
DJI tech.
Sure, like just
Yeah.
backpack, right? Everybody's got their own backpack company. So if you are intentionally using Backpack X and making multiple videos about how great Backpack X is with only the hope that Backpack X will hire you,
Oh, yeah.
you've already given the product, you've already given the marketing team the thing for free. It's hard to then go and negotiate. Now I will make 3 more videos, but you have to pay me for them. It's not impossible.
Good point.
I just think it's harder.
Good point. I'll be curious what you think, since on my channel, I know we're simul streaming here. So on my channel, this video will be brought to you by me, and my commercial will have aired at the first 10 minutes of this show.
Love it.
So you'll have to check it out and tell me what you think, Colton, in the retrospect.
See, but I think that, so exactly what you just said is the monetization silo for creators that makes way more sense and is so much less painful for me to sit through. If you want to sponsor your own work, if you want to develop a product or something that you can use or sell to other people to make their lives easier, and it's all part of your channel, I think that is fantastic use of a platform and an audience. Good on you, Todd.
You haven't seen the ad yet, but thank you.
But you're doing it yourself.
I am doing it myself.
And I appreciate that.
And I think that's the thing that I see as the most beneficial, because any of these, especially if I can make it work, I've had a couple of sales, which I'm pretty happy about. Thanks, guys. That in that space, I am getting all of the profit, as opposed to I'm getting a 5% of a sale after whatever, and there's like a very small nut there. And that's not necessarily like I'm trying to get rich off of it, but like I'm controlling the whole thing. I'm making the product, so I believe in the product. It's my product, and I'm not going to sell it to you if I don't like it. And so I like all of the elements of control there. And I'm fortunate just because I am a creative person. I work in the creative space, so I have the ability to make these products. And so I was like, well, why not? I watched this very inspiring video by this one lady, which I was like, whoa. And not that I ever expect to get to this level, but all she does is t-shirts. And she was like, her video was like, I did $500,000 in sales in the last 90 days. And I was like, what are you talking about? And she's like, no, that's total sales. But after, print on demand, there was the chunk of money afterward. I was like, that is substantial revenue. Now, I don't expect to be there, but if I could make 2% of that or whatever, I'd be like, that's awesome. That's paying all my subscriptions and everything that I have to pay for to do these things. But that is a more linear path for me than some of these other brand deal type of things. So we'll see. I'm not good enough to be a LUT guy like Matty Hapoya. Like his stuff is so cool.
Gosh, yes and no. I think that's something that I struggle with, because unless you're dealing with a technical thing, like the idea of LUTs to me, that was going to be the one thing. Just don't sell a LUT pack, because it's everybody and they're like
everybody does it. I know, but you want like Gerald Undon's got them, and I'm like, I like those too.
But see there, so shout out to Gerald Undone. Like we're plugging Gerald Undone's LUT packs, but that's a technical conversion that he's done with color charts. It's not just a look that looks good, because my struggle with LUTs, if you're not developing a look for footage that you shot, those LUTs are developed specifically for other shots. And if they're matched to a certain camera, great, but you're going to drop that on your footage and it's not going to have the same color depth in it, because it's not their footage. So a look LUT is harder for me to justify than a technical LUT that, like what Gerald does, is sells conversion LUTs that all of his LUTs you put on those cameras. It's a conversion LUT. So essentially, or in hopes, a GH5 LUT and your Luna LUT all dropped on the same, like those footage, the whole timeline looks the same, because he's taken the time to match exactly what the density and level and measurement of red is. You know, I mentioned this before, and I don't want to oversimplify what Jared does, but like if I took this and I just showed you this, that color chart would look different on your Luna versus my FX3 versus your FS600. If I took the time to shoot plates like this with more colors and more accuracy, and then matched exactly red to exactly yellow to, you know, those things take time and skill. That to me is way more exciting than making your footage look the cinematic LUTs. Those look LUTs to me are just,
well, to that end, to that end, there was one great one. And this is a shout out. Somebody please help me. So there was a company called the One LUT, and they did a comparison of an ARRI, and then they did what you said to make your iPhone footage look exactly like ARRI color. And it worked really good. I would use my iPhone. I would show people, and they're like, that looks amazing. Someone make an ARRI look LUT for the Luna. The 10-bit footage is there. I just don't know how to do that. And I want that look because I was using that look so much when I was doing my iPhone work, and it looked awesome. I don't know if you've ever looked at those guys. It's called the One LUT, and it was not cheap. I think I paid $40 for it. One LUT. But the dude did what you did, what you're saying Gerald did. He took out his ARRI and his iPhone. They were mounted together, shot all day, came home, and then found a way to match it. And when you drop that on, it was like gold. One step of take your iPhone, it looks like an ARRI. I want that for my Luna so bad.
Yeah. See, those type of conversion, if it takes a lot of time and some scientific thought, that it's because then you can go and create your look on top of that, but it's converted your footage in a way that makes the actual readout of that 10-bit log footage somewhat different than what you had, you know, without that.
Correct.
Those I get. I totally understand that. And I'm enough of a nerd to enjoy that process. But the looks, the cinematic looks are hard because it's taste. It's funny. I did that. Post something that you think looks great and TikTok will shred it. Some people will like it and 4,000 people will tell you why it's not good enough. So it's so subjective that it's like you're buying a look for one project. And maybe it's me. I've just never had success, like great success with just dropping on a LUT. It's always to me creating the color look that I want from the footage that I shot. Yeah.
That and to your initial argument too, I am really tired of seeing everybody with a LUT pack that looks like dingy green underexposed. That seems to be the look that all of the young guys are doing now. It's like, why does this look bad? It just looks bad. You've made a muddy look. And they're all like, this is my new LUT pack. And I'm like, it's ugly. That's just me. It's just not my aesthetic.
Capitalism at its best, though, Todd. You are not the target market for that, I guess, and you didn't have to buy it. You know,
I didn't.
But you just explained perfectly why that is not the product I would want to sell.
Yeah,
because there's just enough people that look at it the same way you just did. Yeah. And my whole thing is, what can make people like me's life easier? I would not mind selling that. But even if it's my product, I don't want to be the salesperson that just needs a sale. You know, that's why I would say I wouldn't represent a company or a product that I don't like to work with anyway, that I wouldn't buy on my own. And I wouldn't even sell something of mine that I didn't think actually improved somebody's life. I'm a bad salesman when it comes to that stuff.
That's a fair point. That's why I quit selling insurance. That was one of my first jobs out of school. Like I was, it was my dad's industry. And I was like, I just can't stand selling a product that I don't believe in. Like, I know that when these people have a problem, the first thing the insurance company is going to try to do is not pay. but here I am.
Yep.
I'm going to protect you. I was not a big fan of that product. So anyway, that's a sour note to end on. And with that,
See how we do brief, though? See how we do brief? That was another 20-minute segment. Yeah.
Yeah, 20 minutes. Look, I won't have to do another live stream all week.
That's must beautiful. Be nice.
Yeah, unless you call me, Colden, and then I'll be there.
Yeah, cool. I'll call you.
Thanks for joining me again, Colden. Thank you all for watching, and we'll see you again soon.
See ya.